Welcome once again here on the Regional Radio Sports Network. My name is Paul Condry. I'm the president and founder of Regional Radio Sports. We are broadcasting today from McKenna Arena with Tom Robbins. Welcome to the Tom Robbins Show. Great that you've joined us here today from the File Center. Tom, I tell you what, we're moving through the school year like it's a hot knife through butter. I know that you're in the midst of a great race with your women's basketball team. We're going to be talking golf today with head women's golf coach. We're great to have her here on the program. But your basketball team, as of this taping of this program, has won 3 straight basketball games, playing the best basketball they have all season, making a prime run for the CCAC postseason tournament series. I know you have to be excited about what your gals have been able to accomplish down the stretch here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these 3 wins that we've had in a row are moving us up the conference standings. So 6 games left and looking to continue to move. We're sitting in a really good position, pretty solidly in the tournament field, the top 8. But we feel like if we can keep this win streak going, we can move into a position to possibly get a home game in the first round of the tournament. So yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, how neat would that be to be able to get the dog pound full of people and get excited about that, right?
Absolutely. I think it would be a good night.
It is. It's a good day to be here on the campus of Holy Cross College at Notre Dame, Indiana. We're glad to be joined here by Abby Clark, the head women's golf coach. She's just taken over the program. 13th seasons underneath the belt here at Notre Dame, Indiana. Tom, I know that anytime you get in a position where you're going to make a change at the top, you've been in this position not only as an athletic director and helping making the decisions, but you've also been in the situation where you've been the person who's been interviewed for the positions. So it's a unique situation. So just talk a little bit about Abby and some of the things you've got a chance to get to know her in just this short period of time. Nice to know that she's a Holy Cross grad, so she understands the dynamics of what it takes to be successful here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited about her joining the department, and she's the first female coach for the women's program. It's been a situation where the men's team and the women's team have all been under one coach, and we've separated that with Abby's hire. Like you said, former student here, but also a tremendous golfer for us when she played here just a few years ago. So we're really excited with the direction that she can take and the personal touch. You know, there's just a little different dynamic when you're coaching 2 teams. And the idea that she's just the women's golf coach, has that personal touch. You know, I've seen her around campus a little bit with the girls as well, and seems to be getting acclimated really well with the group that we have. So we're very excited about where this thing can go and developing our women's team.
Taking a look at some of Abby's numbers, graduate 2019, originally from Phoenix, Arizona. Why she would want to come to Northern Indiana in the wintertime still is one of the questions that we must get solved here today. But she was also a all-conference golfer during her time here in 2018 and 2019. 7 top 20 finishes, including 2 top 10 finishes that season. So let's talk back, and we look back and let's take the Wayback Machine, and let's get back into the days you were playing here at Holy Cross College at Notre Dame. Let's just revisit some of those great memories that you've had. What stands out as your great experience here in college?
First of all, thank you, Paul, for having me. Excited to be on the Tom Robbins Show. I'd say one of my favorite memories or one of the more formative experiences was my first year at Holy Cross. So I actually transferred in. I went to a different school my freshman year of college. Didn't work out. They actually ended up kind of dismantling the golf program over there. Luckily, there was still a spot for me here at Holy Cross. And that first year, joining the team that we had, it was such a strong, competitive group of men and women that my game, if you look at my scores, my freshman year, then going into my sophomore year, major improvements. And just improvements in team culture, improvements in my school, you know, my academic performance, my performance on the golf course. The coaching was incredible. I just grew so much. And I think I actually ended up winning first place in one of the tournaments that first year, which I was, you know, just shocked to know that going from how I performed my freshman year, being honest, to sophomore year was a great improvement.
Tom, one of the things that's very unique in coaching multiple sports, and I'll use my reference point as this. For many years, I've talked with Chris Hess, who's the women's coach at Bethel across the way here, and he had a couple years where he was stretched thin because having to coach both men's and women's. That's I'm going to use the term a disservice. That's a tough thing to do, to be able to stretch yourself so thin. And I know they're not doing that now. And so let's talk about the mindset that the college had about saying, okay, because probably by the time we have our next show, we'll be introduced to our new men's golf coach. So talk about the school's mindset of bringing in a gal to coach the gals. I think that's a great move.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it kind of came from the idea that the women's team has kind of suffered throughout the years here in terms of numbers and, with the coaching situation, the guys had a pretty solid foundation, and our numbers on the women's side and the involvement and, like I said, the personal touch didn't seem like it was quite there. And I was fortunate to be involved in the interview process for the next women's golf coach. Had the opportunity to be involved with Abby in that process, and just her personality and her way and what she brings to the table. We felt that was a great direction for our team, and something that we severely needed, and something that we felt like if our women's team was going to get to the point where we were not only stable but reaching for excellence, as Dr. Clark is calling for our college to do on all levels, we felt like we needed to make that move. So you have a situation where they have their immediate mentor, someone that's been here, that's done it, someone that's not too far from them in age and not too far from her playing career here, and somebody that they can relate to. I feel like it's a situation that we can get a great foundation under us and really start to reach for that excellence in the women's program.
So obviously there's got to be something that brought Abby to the forefront in the interview process. So can you speak to some things that during the interview that said, hey, listen, I think she's the right fit?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just her personality. Personality is such a huge part of college coaching, I would say, just because of the recruiting aspect. You're trying to get people to come to your college, and the way you enter a room and the way you look at someone probably makes a bigger difference than anything that ever comes out of your mouth. So just the initial introduction and the opportunity to meet her and talk with her, you could see what those recruits were going to see when they came to campus. That warmth, that engagement, that familiarity. People call it charisma, but it can take a lot of forms. It can be quiet. It can be soft, but it's an attraction. It's something that pulls people to you.
I look at it as the firm handshake, and I mentioned it to Abby when we met for the first time. I mean, she looked me in the eyes and she gave me a firm handshake. To me, that's something that, and call it old school. That's something that I was taught, that you should always extend your hand and get that firm handshake. So I think that's a great place, says Paul Condries. We go back to his principles of things that you'd like to see in a leader. All right, so Abby, now you've had a chance to work with a wide variety of different coaches from the past when you were playing. What kind of coach are you going to be? Are you going to be one of those? And there's a wide variety of coaches here on this campus already. And we don't need to go into all the different personalities because each one is very successful at what they're doing. So kind of give us an idea, where are you at? Are you going to be one of those coaches very, very firm, demanding? Are you going to be one of those maybe kind of laid back? And I think each personality can set there's two ways to skin a cat, Tom, right? There's a way you can go about it in the soft, gentle. Look at John Wooden. John Wooden is the case in point, and then you look at Robert Montgomery Knight. There's two ways to win. So kind of give us an idea from your standpoint, what kind of coach are you? What kind of coach you think you're going to be?
I mean, yes, it is very early still in my first year here, but what these girls need is structure. I want to be a coach that these girls can rely on, that they know if I say something's happening, it's happening. If I'm going to promise them something, it's going to be delivered. I think you have to earn a little bit of relaxation, a little bit of lax attitude. That comes years later. That comes after your program is established.
Sure.
That comes after people know what type of culture you've already created. That comes when your, upperclassmen have earned your trust and they can kind of pass that along down to the younger players. Right now we don't have that. I'm brand new. They barely know me. We're getting to know each other. I'm setting up new, more structured things than they've been used to these past couple years, unfortunately. And until then, I am going to be a little bit strict, about our schedule, about workouts, about attending practice every single time. Will I always be this harsh? I don't know if harsh is the right word.
I think that's a good point.
Probably not. That doesn't mean I'm going to, not care about attendance or these things that I've just mentioned, but they'll also have that expectation that this is just what happens in this program. Golf tends to be something, it may not seem as structured as maybe basketball or soccer practice, where it's intense and there's 30 people there and it's all these moving parts. It's a smaller team. There's less, you're out there kind of practicing on your own a lot of the time, but we still have to, as coaches, ensure that things are getting done that need to be done in practice.
What's the ideal number of student athletes you'd like to have in the women's golf program here at Holy Cross College at Notre Dame?
My goal is 8. So typically we take 5 girls to a tournament and we take the top 4 scores. So having a couple extra to keep that competitive edge, to make sure that there's qualifying. I mean, not that I don't think we tried. I mean, I've played on small teams. I've played on larger teams. I still tried my hardest each time, even though you're going to each tournament. But I want that competitive edge. I want those qualifying rounds ahead of time to let these girls know, hey, if I don't do my best in that week leading up to the tournament, I might not go next week, and that's going to push me to try harder.
Have you given the thought to the landscape of how you're going to recruit? Are you going to recruit nationally? Are you going to recruit internationally? Are you going to recruit locally? Have you given any thoughts to your dynamics on recruiting?
I just recently talked to our tennis coach. Golf and tennis are similar in the recruiting route, I would say, and he was giving me some advice on going international. I started off just introducing myself to the high school coaches around the area. I'm excited about what I'm seeing there. I obviously was recruited from out of state, so I'm familiar with that process. I'm excited to kind of travel around the country if I can to do that. And then I'm looking internationally. There's a lot of great agents and organizations that can kind of find you the right type of golfer from around the world. Something that's really unique internationally for golf is a lot of these kids, they don't have an opportunity to play golf after high school in their countries. It's not public. It's very private. There's no such thing as golf in universities, if there's any sports in universities. I'm speaking about Europe in general, maybe Asia. So this is, if they're really into golf and if that's going to be their passion, they want to come to the United States and play their sport here. So looking forward to exploring all of those realms, and I'm just dipping my toe in, but I'm excited to go all in.
Tom, you got a thought?
Yeah, speaking of recruiting, and we identified right in the beginning of the process that we wanted to increase our numbers with women's golf, and that's one of the biggest challenges that Abby's enduring. So just to ask, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered in this recruiting process?
Women's golf, it's numbers. I mean, I was speaking to Tyler, and when he was talking about the huge volume of men's basketball players, for example, there's just a lot more to choose from, to chat with. There aren't that many women golfers, so they kind of have the competitive edge when it comes to recruiting because they know schools want them maybe more than they need us. So it's just convincing them, how is this campus culture going to be a fit for them? How is my golf program going to be a fit for them? How are they going to fit in with the other girls and have the great experience that I know I had, that I know my girls are having? I just got to make them believe. I got to sell the experience here. That being said, I'm also making sure, even though, again, I might be more in need of golfers than they're in need of coming to Holy Cross specifically, we still want to get really solid women coming to our school. We want to get good golfers. We want to get good students, and we want to get good people. So finding the combination of 3 is always the struggle, but it will be done.
Women's golf will begin the spring season on Friday, March 22nd, when they compete in the Purgatory Intercollegiate. The 2-day event hosted by Taylor University will be played at Purgatory Golf Course in Noblesville, Indiana. Let's talk about the gals that are going to be able to participate in this event. Let's talk about what you've got to know of these gals thus far and kind of give us an idea on what kind of expectations you have.
Right, so we have Annika Johnson. She's our senior this year, returning for her last year of golf. She really, if I'm being honest, has a great chance of winning conference this year. I have no doubt. So excited to watch her journey kind of come to an end. It's going to be really exciting. We also have junior Sierra Benj, great golfer. I'm just now starting to see everybody's swings. We've kind of gotten into our indoor practice as we prepare. And then we have 2 freshmen this year, Ava De La Rosa and Savannah Payne Gall. Excited for their careers. The freshman year is a really formative year for everybody. It kind of is going to set the pace for how you're going to be as a golfer. And I see a lot of competitiveness. I see a lot of curiosity in how are they going to grow. So looking forward to everyone's very unique golf journeys here.
Tom, as I reflect back on, I'm using basketball as an example, because regional radio sports became involved with Holy Cross College at Notre Dame when the legendary Bob Schimmerhorn hired us to do women's and men's basketball. I don't know how many decades ago. It seems like it's been 20 years ago. I know that's not necessarily the correct number. But I remember sitting down with Bob and having the conversation with this former Marine who I have tremendous amount of respect for. And he picked out 3 or 4 programs nationally, locally, that we want to be able to be competitive on the same level that those teams are. I'm not going to get into mentioning of those teams' names, but that was his case in point. When you sit down and you look at your team, or when you sit down with your coaches and say, hey, listen, this is an elite team in this league, or this is an elite team in our conference, I'd like for our teams to be able to compete with this team on a year-by-year basis. I want to be able to go toe-to-toe in recruiting. I want to be able to go and get some of the best people. I don't care if you have to reach out to your that particular opponent and interview those guys and gals, whatever the case may be. So can you speak to your mindset when you're hiring new coaches, or you're currently sitting down with your current coaches and saying, hey, listen, these are some of the things that we need to be able to invest in. Let's go out and meet the best. Let's go out and pick their brains, because I know you know this, but the Indiana Basketball Coaches Association has an annual clinic, and everybody goes down there for that, because if you didn't think you needed to know something, you wouldn't go to the clinics to get better at what you're doing. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think, looking at who's, doing well in your field and who's succeeding in your field is the mark of trying to improve yourself. As a women's basketball coach, I first looked at, St. Xavier. It's a little different situation now, but when I first came in, they were on the heels of, the retirement of one of the best coaches in the league for the longest time, and
sure,
had a lot of his players still left. So you see, what kind of players do they have that are succeeding? And then Steve Brooks was at St. Francis at the time, and they had very similar type of players that St. Xavier had. So you're looking at that in terms of what kind of players do we need to be successful in terms of recruiting? What kind of styles of play does the league have, and what do you need to deal with those styles of play? And maybe your own philosophy about styles of play need to change a little bit. I felt like mine did when I first came in. So when I'm looking at the sports across the board, in tennis and golf in particular, it's a little different situation now, because Cardinal Stritch was kind of the banner of both of those sports, but they've since closed down, and they're no longer in that power seat anymore. So there's kind of a vacuum for both of those, and we saw tennis really take a hold of that last
Sure.
year. They filled that vacuum, actually defeated Cardinal Stritch in their final season to finish things off. So I feel like we're in a situation with our golf programs that we can really move forward in the conference because of that vacuum. And as I look at the women's program in particular, I feel like the mark of success is kind of in our own house a little bit with what the men have been able to do. And I feel like if we can kind of copy some of what the men have done, and Brian Matthews he's interim coach right now, but he was a long-time assistant as well. And some of the success that he's had and that he's seen, as TJ Manning when he was here as well, that he had. And Brian was a witness to that. If we can get that rolling on the women's side, I think that would be a great example for us to follow.
I know the strategic plan of the institution moving forward is on Dr. Clark's desk, but I had a sneak preview of him. I had him on at halftime of one of the men's games last week at some point in time, and I just know that I think he's a guy that really, really believes in the power of what athletics, the lessons learned in athletics, success, failure. Failure is the greatest teaching tool in the world. People always talk about, well, your success. But, I mean, I am sure Abby will tell us golf is the most unique sport because if you can't understand failure, because there's a sport that is just doomed for failure. And memory, you have to have a short-term memory with golf, just as you do with basketball. I missed a shot, whatever the sport may be. I got to be able to put it behind me, forget about it, and move on to the next shot or the next situation. So I think that Dr. Clark and once again, I don't want to speak for Dr. Clark, but as a coach and former college athlete, I think he understands that we're going to give our coaches an opportunity to be successful, but there's going to be some failure along the way till we get to the point we're going to be successful. You think that's a safe bet?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we've got a leader there in Dr. Clark that's committed to that process. But we're still a very young athletic department.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have not been around that long. And we are really starting to see success come in our different sports. Obviously, talked about the tennis situation last year, and our soccer teams have had success in recent years, and our men's basketball team was just in the national tournament just a couple years ago, and our men's golf program is sending individuals to the national tournament each of the last few years. So we're a young department, but we are on the rise and we are on the move, and it's great to have that support in the president's office as well. And we don't want to be one of those departments that has the one sport that kind of carries you, like Kentucky basketball, right?
Sure.
We want to be, or Alabama football. We want to be that place that thrives across the board, that's good in multiple sports. And I think that sends an image for your college. And I'm sure that's what our president's office would like for us to have as well. It's an image for the college of excellence.
All right. Once again, Abby, wrapping this thing up, give us an idea on how excited you are for the season to get underway, and excited to be able to go out there. And are you going to be one of those coaches that's going to be following your athletes around, or are you just going to want to sit back on game day? Or are you one of those coaches who are going to make corrections during the course of a match? Kind of give us an idea of what it's going to be like for you the first good time you're going to go out there with your gals.
Each golfer is so different. Golf courses are still closed, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to, when March rolls around and we can get back outside, kind of seeing how these girls react, how these women react during our practice rounds. What kind of coach do they need me to be? Or is somebody the type who they're going to see me coming up, they just want the snack and the water bottle they have and they're good to go? That's totally fine. If they're going to need, me to walk with them for a couple holes, that is the nice part about having a smaller team and having me dedicated just to the women. I mean, I remember certain tournaments and it was just one coach. We got, 10 players out there. You might be able to talk to your coach for a couple minutes throughout the whole day. So being able to dedicate my time and spending a bit more time with each of my golfers on the course is going to help. We're super excited. There's kind of a little fire rolling. I can already see it within the girls. They're excited that these practices have been going well. The short game is incredible. We've been lucky enough to practice across the street at St. Mary's in their indoor facility, which has been an incredible help. I wanted to say thank you to Susan Holt for kind of working with me to build that alliance there. And big things are coming for Holy Cross Women's Golf.
There you have it. Tom, you got a final thought? I'll let you wrap this one up here. I know that women's basketball, I know that's primarily on the rise, and men's basketball teams are wrapping things up. I believe next month on the Tom Robbins Show, we're going to be introducing to our new men's golf coach, correct?
Yeah, we have a new men's golf coach coming, and it's not ready for release yet, so I can't give that name out, but we're really excited for that. It's an exciting time. This part of the year, you're finishing up basketball season with the potential success that we could be having on the horizon there, and then getting right into our spring sports with tennis and golf, and great situations for tennis coming back in the second year after 2 national tournament trips with the men and the women, and seeing if they can repeat that process and capture lightning in a bottle again, so to speak. But then the freshness of our golf programs as well with the new coaches that we have and what we can establish there. It will be really exciting to see.
Best of luck, Abby.
Thank you so much.
That's going to do it for our special program here from Holy Cross College in Notre Dame, the Tom Robbins Show. Thanks to Tom, as always. Thanks again. Tremendous help for Tyler Bradick, who does so many things behind the scenes to make things so easy for our regional radio sports network team here, whether it be on game day or just the back and forth. So we're excited, and we want to thank Tyler so much for all of his help. For Tom Robbins, for Abby Clark, I'm Paul Condry. As always, our program is produced and directed by the legendary Andrew Kirksey and Tanner Camp. For all of us at Regional Radio Sports, God bless you all.